Okay, I think that's it. I think let's like move it slow, but I think we there. Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. I want to welcome you back from a long vacation we've had. Like we had a Halloween vacation, then we had what I would almost say like another another kind of vacation where weren't able to get together. I had some issues. I had to make some moves and trying to get equipment up, but we are here and back tonight at the Fatherhood Think Tank. I think that's it. I think let's like move it slow, but I think we there. Good night, everybody. Being back from a long vacation we've had. All right, so vacation. Then we had all right. So I just wanted to me and Johnny probably listen, you guys don't know me. We're gonna get this, going good. Me and Johnny probably a little bit distracted by something else. But we're gonna keep this going. Some other things in the background we got that I didn't some conflict, but we're gonna make this work. Tonight was good because we're talking about a topic that should be easy for us as the fathers tonight. Very easy. Tonight's topic is how how do you be the question, and I won't even say it is what it said. The actual topic of tonight's show is about being a parent and a friend to our child. And I think a lot of times when we hear that topic, the question is, we hear and we concerned about, and at least in my generation, I don't know about, in my generation of parents, that we feel like a lot of parents are sometimes trying to be a lot more friends with their kids than parents. And it leads to some of the things we see and some of the issues we see, with our kids and parenting. And so today at the Fatherhood Think Tank, we're going to kind of try to brush that out. I mean, I think that we can be a friend and a parent to our child, but I think it's steps and places to go. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to hear from the dads tonight. Again, I'm Ron Osborne Williams, the fatherhood curator, and along with the other fathers, let them introduce themselves, and then we'll get going with the topic for tonight. Fathers.
Well, I'll jump on here quick. Brother Johnny Gaspard, father to two young adults, 24 and 21. They still in my pockets, but I'm grateful. And I definitely understand about this topic more than anything else as far as being a parent and a friend. And as Ron said, being able to balance those moments, because you can easily get caught up in one and not be good in the other, if that makes, and I know that makes sense to each and every one of y'all. So I look forward to hearing everybody and their points tonight.
Okay, I'll jump in. Larry Jordan, father of two, grandfather of one. Miss being around you guys, but it's been great coming back. It feels like a family reunion. And looking forward to a good conversation tonight.
Yeah. Okay. Ella Thomas Albury, father of two, adult married, and I'm a grandfather of seven, two young men and five young ladies.
President Adams, father of three, the one that's it.
Hey, good evening, gentlemen. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bernard, because I can't even see myself on this thing.
All right. J. Rob Menard, father of two young adults, one man, one woman. They're of age now, so I can revert them to man and woman. They hit the 20-year-old and older mark. So I'll graduate them.
You make that sound so generic. You said one man, one woman. That's almost that's like subliminal messages for
praise the
like
Lord.
man and woman, not boy and girl. So pockets empty, man and woman.
Good evening, gentlemen. You probably can't see me because I don't know what I did with this thing, but I'm gonna log off and log back on. But my name is Lionel Lightborn. I'm a father to a tribe of 7 young adults, 3 young women, 4 young men, 1 granddaughter, and a grandson on the way. So it's always a pleasure to be here. I'm logging off. I'm gonna come back on in a minute.
Is that everybody?
That's
all right.
everybody.
So let's and I guess I mean one of my biggest concerns with this topic is that what we describe as the topic to be a friend and a parent to your child, I think people do, but I don't think people are being successful in being both at the same time. I have some own concerns about my own child when I think about it, like some of the relating, maybe not so much with me because I'm probably not her friend. Definitely, I'm not her friend, and she's not a person that she like to go maybe see her dad, be with her dad, but I'm not probably her friend. I'm probably more disciplinarian, like mean, mad, bad guy kind of sometimes. And that's probably because I'm sometimes I'm trying to substitute for what I feel. Maybe her mom, with what the way other people maybe interact with her, because I'm very self-conscious about and you like that when you work, and I think when you work with a lot of kids every day as not their parent, you begin to realize that, hey, what's going on in these houses, why these kids are this way. Then you meet their parents, then you kind of like, see, they did their hair together before they came to school. They do each other makeup, they dressing in the same clothes. That sounds like friend stuff to me, not like parent and child, or parent, and so I think that for me, I'm very adamant about there should be a distinct boundary between you as a parent and your child. Not saying that they can't have freedoms, they can't have rights, they can't share or really, be able to develop into who they are. But I think that development who they are is really based on your discipline. And that discipline I'm talking about is the teaching and guiding of them who not who you want them to be, but for them to be able to be the best person who they want to be. And I think that's where a lot of this sometimes come in, because when you hear somebody say, hey, you ask kids, hey, who you want to be like? And we do that a lot. I think unconsciously ask kids who they want to be like. And we would hope they want to be like their parents, or they want to be like them. But sometimes they just might want to, me, a good answer is I want to be like myself. And I got to find out who myself is to be who I am. Because there's a lot of pressure to try to be somebody else. That's where we get into a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, see people using substances, being involved with a lot of things that's not healthy for them because they're trying to be something that they're not, or not who they want to be, trying to, be very, make up for what somebody else wanted to be. So that's something for us to really think about and put in the air.
Ron, I when I listen to what you said, I don't think you can be both at the same time. It's either you're going to be one or the other at any given moment. And
when they get older, I think you can.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Because I was having this conversation with someone the other day, and I was telling them, I think we discussed it here. You're a parent you're a different type of parent at every stage of your child's life, right? And so you have the that 0 to 5, then you have the preteen, then you have the teenage, and you have the adulthood. And through all those phases, you become a different type of parent to the kids, right? Because you're changing from from, like you said, that hard structure to start to become more of a guidance to them. Because once they reach adulthood, they're going to make their own decisions. They're going to do what they want to do, but you're always going to be there for the guidance for them. And that's where you fall more into the friendship type aspect of it, because you're allowing them to be their own person and you're just falling back like a friend would and just helping them guide them through. So for me, I don't feel that you can be both simultaneously. It's either you're going to be when it comes to parenting, because of the rules, regulations, restrictions, and the other things that you're going to expect from them as a parent, that's where all that comes in.
I definitely go ahead, Thomas. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think you can be both a friend and be a parent and a friend by to your children by being a good listener when they come up and want to talk to you about different things. Also, show them that they are loved. Love is a big factor. Be approachable. Your kids need to come and bring you anything, and they know that you're going to listen to them, and you will get them wise counsel, as well as setting boundaries as a parent and a friend, setting those boundaries. Thank you.
And I definitely hear you on that, Elder Thomas. My issue when they're younger, even I'm supposed to do everything you just said. Listen, show them that they're loved, not tell them, but show them. By holding them, by hugging them, letting them know that you're available for them. But I still want them to be scared the hell of me. I need them to understand that what your mama used to, my mama said this several times when I was younger. I brought you in this world and I will take you out. That's what my mama always said, right? And it wasn't one of those things where it was about wanting you to become afraid of them, but more for you to understand that I'm the parent and you're the child. And I think when they're younger, when you establish that boundary and you're consistent with that boundary, it allows them to have a level of, and because you could still be that parent that separates, but yet still shows them the love and still listen. And I think I did that. I think I was pretty good at that. My kids up until to this day, they are constantly calling, reaching out when they have various issues. I'm definitely somebody that they feel like they can reach out to, because I told them, listen, I don't care where you are, whatever it is, call me. I'm gonna come get you. I ain't gonna question you about it. I'm gonna just come get you. And then when we get home, then I'm gonna tear your behind up. But in the moment, I don't want you to be afraid to call me. So that was my part with them now as they got older, when they got into teenage years. And, they sometimes they will make dumb and did make dumb decisions. So you just want them to know you're available for them. So for me, when I was old, when they're now older, now I feel like I could be more of a friend, even still being that parent. Because they ain't about to cuss around me. Because the moment they cuss, you know what? Sorry, Dad. Because they already know the parent in me has established a level of respect from them that they don't feel comfortable using an obscene language in my presence. And if they do, they will look over to me to see if I react. And depending on how I react will depend on how quickly they say they apologize to me or not. Because even to this day, me being around my parents, the way we grew up, man, you was obscene cuss. Man, you about to get a backhand, a right hand, a front hand, get some kind of hand. So I think, again, when they're younger and you establish those boundaries, it allows you, when you become older, to become their friend, to still have that level of respect from them, in my opinion anyway, in reference to being that friend. And they're more willing to be your friend then, because they know that you got their back regardless of what it is.
And I'm glad you said that, Gaspar.
I just want to add real quick about, when I said set the boundaries, and also adding effective discipline. The
Definitely.
children will respect you enough that they will obey you.
100%.
Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say that. I was gonna say, just piggybacking off what Gaspar said, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I think the difference is when you're starting to establish the boundaries at a younger age, you're not gonna be in that parent role. You're not gonna be in that, I'm sorry, you're not gonna be in that friendship role. You know what I'm saying? Because you're setting boundaries, you're putting rules in place, you're setting up a foundation. So you're not gonna be that friend. And then and that's the thing. Everything that you described, Elder Thomas, is
Yeah.
what an engaged parent does anyway. We listen to our kids. We value our kids. We allow them to have a say or an opinion depending on what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We do respect them just like they should respect us. You see what I'm saying? And so, but that's how you place those boundaries at a younger age so that when they are older, you can loosen up some. But like Gaspar said, you turn back into a parent real quick if they get slick at the mouth. And hey, I don't care what age you at. You get slick at the mouth, we're gonna get into it. You see what I'm saying? And so you never stop being a parent. You just start parenting less. And I think that's what it is, and that's what we have to understand.
Well,
I would be
That's a differently.
Yeah, I think well, for me, I really struggle in that area, and I'll be the first to admit that. I think I struggle in that area a lot. My father struggled in that area as well. What I
What are
mean
you
by
referring
that,
to, LJ?
when I was growing up, there was a certain expectation that my parents had of me, and they it was hard to remove that expectation in place of let's just sit and talk about small talk, that how friends talk about things. Um, he was more engaged about, well, what's going on now? What are we gonna do now? And that kind of thing. And I have that tendency to be that way. Like my kids, um, they're gonna call their mom. They're not gonna call me. You know, and because it's not that I'm gonna fuss, it's because they know that my expectation level is such that I'm gonna be disappointed, and they really don't want to disappoint me. So rather than disappoint me, they just won't talk to me, which is kind of, but that's the way it is. But I know my father was that way. Whenever I had my disappointments or my failures in life, uh, I ain't go to my dad and talk about it. I went to my mom, and when we talked about it, because she was always gonna be mom, and it's like, yeah, okay, those things happen, and and it helped me go on. But I do struggle, and being a friend to them, like my son and I sat down and we talked. Now we can talk about sports and those kind of things, and that level, and that I find that I can be a friend, but almost anything else is there's going to be some conflict because we just not going to see things eye to eye. So it's that's hard. That's hard for me.
Interesting. And I'm glad LJ shared that, because when you talk about growing up in different periods of life, and what your experience was with your dad, my dad wasn't very a talkative person either. And like you said, I would go to my mama because I know she gonna be supportive of my choice, whatever that may be. You got me. So I definitely didn't want to disappoint them. But what I've learned, I think I just wanted to be different from how my dad was, and because he didn't show that necessarily that love, or wasn't able to really be involved with listening, I figured I just wanted to do something different. I just wanted to be different, and I wanted to be that dad because I've seen, like, let me tell y'all. The other day I was talking to my mama, and I said, "Mama, do you remember us ever sitting down at the table together as a family and having dinner? Like everybody together? And she said that she had to think for a long time. She said Thanksgiving, but it wasn't just us though. It was everybody else. Because my dad was either always gone or my mom was working at night doing shift work. So there was never, I couldn't remember that. And I just wanted something different. And I say that to you in that friendship relationship, but I wanted them to be able to come to me and not just about sports was essential to me. So
Yes.
today, my daughter might be going through some drama with a boy or whatever, and I'll notice when she doesn't pick up the phone and call for several days, I was like, she got some drama going on. Some boy that did talk to her crazy or something. And then I call her, I was like, so what's the problem? She's like, what do you mean? You ain't called me for a 7 days straight. That don't ever happen. What's up? And he's like, yeah, because I know you was already going to figure it out. I was like, so I'm doing that parent thing while doing that friend thing at the same time. You get what I'm saying? So, and I just wanted to be different, LJ. So I was just sharing the how my desire to be different in the time that I am living versus you with your son and how things were different with your dad, because you still had to be that father during that time when you were raising your boys. It was a different time where me raising my kids, the exposure to social media and all of the different things and people's, I guess, direction and guidance on how programs like this and how to be a better father. Those things help me to want to do things differently. And that's why my experience in being their friend, yet still understanding how to be their parent, is a little different than LJ's experience.
Well, let me say something. And I think I talk a lot of time when I'm talking to fathers in reference to especially early fathers who don't have accessibility to their children. And the concern is that, hey, I'm a father and I'm not having been able to be or raise or be involved in my children from 0 to 18, right? And then they say, well, I missed everything. And even the moms say, well, ain't nothing you can do, the kid grown and they don't need you anymore. And I think that's such a missed opportunity that we use, because I think the children, even though we may believe that they're grown, they still need at that time, when they become an adult, they need a friend. And who better to have as a friend is a person who knows you, even if they don't know you, right? So a lot of times people say, well, I don't know you, Dad, you don't know me because you wasn't with me. Yeah, you're wrong. He does know you, because guess what? Nature will overpower nurture any day. Now, people love to argue this and say, oh, I can nurture, but I promise you, what you have inside of you, of what makes you and who made you, is who you usually are going to be like and act like. Even when you say, I don't want to be like them, you still end up being like them, because nature is strong. You can't change your genetics of who you are. You can change your behavior because you can get, somebody can put you in, give you everything you need. And so we see this very often. So I'll say this so fathers can hear, just because you wasn't able to, at that time, be this ideal what a parent is, and you didn't have a friendship with them, don't mean that you can't, and when they're grown, be this parent who is a lot more of a friend, an advisor, and mentor for them to continue the rest of their life, because they're going to be your child until you aspire. No matter what they say, they will still be your child. You will still be their parent until you aspire. It's not, and God forbid that they aspire before you, but guess what? They'll still be your child. You'll probably go to the grave and still see them every day saying, I'm supposed to be there, not you. So we have to realize that it's this idea of parent and friend can work simultaneously, but it's through stages of the development of the child that it works.
Exactly.
What we have now is we have a generation of people, and I think Al J said it very clearly. We want to be different than our 3 generations. Well, our great granddads didn't have the opportunity or the privilege to say, "Oh, I'm gonna sit down with your son and how you feeling today, and you okay?" And guess what? Your mama might not have. Well, your mom might have had that, because again, your mom might not have worked. She might have been a house mother, so her job was exclusively, you know, and if he wasn't, it depending on where your dad, what his workability was or what was going on, he might not have been, when he did have opportunity to come home, he didn't come home, he stayed at the bar, you know, and he did stay at the bar. And so often we believe he stayed at the bar because he wanted to be at the bar drinking. No, he was there soaking in the oppression of what he faced every day as being a black man in the society, trying to equal up to the other people in the society. And a lot of the things he did, and again, research will show you this. We have this idea that we say, "Our men are so bad, our fathers were so bad, they did this and did that." But we've never acknowledged what makes diamonds. Pressure. So if something doesn't affect you, you won't have those kind of problems. Luckily, we have the kind of awareness, we have the kind of education, exposure to know that, hey, that's not the way we should do things. There are actual advocacy groups that say, hey, this is what we need to do, how we need education and knowledge change the dynamics. But now what we do see is we're now, because everyone has to work, because everybody works now, the best way we think that we can be close to our friends, I mean, our children, is being like friends. Like, oh, I give you this, I give you that, I give you a lot of stuff because I didn't have that. So sometimes we think the time, and we say this all the time is, you know, how love is spelled through time, but we don't have time, and then we substitute the time for money. You got every pair of Jordans, and you should be happy because you got every pair of Jordans. No, he's not happy because he don't even know who his grandma, why his grandma married his granddaddy, and how you end up getting with his dad, and why his dad not there. You know any of those things. Them kids don't know that, so they feel like I got a lot of stuff, but I'm unaware of who I am and where I come from and how I am. So this is an important part. Like friends don't tell you everything, but parents need to tell you everything.
You hit on two.
Add one real quick. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Elder Thomas.
It is trying not to really be a best friend to your children, because it's unhealthy and it's unwise to do so. Because disappointment will come.
I disagree with that, Elder Thomas. And I'm glad I'm back. Right on that statement. I'm gonna tell you why I disagree with that, and here's why. I think it's important to be both. Why? It's because being a father builds the child, but being a friend builds the character in that child. And so that child, when I'm that child, I can be that child father, but when I become that child friend, it shows him, give him the courage on how to be when he's around his friends. Which means if I built him up, being a father just builds him up as a child, so that builds up his individuality. But to build him up socially, right, and even globally, then he would have to, just being his friend would show him or instill encouraging him to just say simple word, no. You understand? And possibly save a life. And so being a friend to him is show him what friends really are. And so, you know what? You may even be the first friend he see anyway, or she. You understand? And so I think we those are missed opportunities when we think we only have to be one thing to our children, when we should be everything, almost mirroring exactly who Jesus Christ and God is himself in the Trinity.
Yes.
That's why he is the Trinity. Because even so, God is our Father, but he also called himself our friend. Certain people he called the really good friend, like Abraham and possibly a David. So even God didn't limit himself to just being your father. He actually made himself unlimited. And this is how we got to do. Just like God, make ourselves unlimited to not just being their father, but unlimited to being their friend as well. So we can actually build the whole and cater to the whole child and the total child, as opposed to the child we think he should be, or even the child that we used to be. And I think that's where the greatest disappointment come in, because we want to raise the child we know versus the child they are.
I think that has.
I want to.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
I want to touch on, on a point that Ron was making, and I don't want it to get lost. sometimes you have those fathers who are missing within those first, 18 years for whatever reason. And I think the problem is when they come into the child's life, they're trying to come in like a father. They don't know how to come in as someone, as guidance. They don't know how to come in as a friend. They don't know how to balance the two in order to create a better presence within that person's life. And I think that is one of the things that you have to learn how to balance so that you can do exactly what Lightborn said. You see what I'm saying? Because it is a balancing act. I think you can be both. You just can't be both at the same time. And when I say at the same time, I mean in the same moment. Because there's a parenting side and then there's a friend side. You see what I'm saying? For me, and this is just my opinion, they can coexist. They just can't coexist in the same space at the same time. Because when it's time to be a parent, you got to be a parent. You can't, and when it's time to show the love and the friendship, that's when it's time to show love and friendship.
I got a question then. How do you teach your child to be a good friend? Are you in the friend moment or are you in the parent moment?
Repeat that question again, Elder Thomas. How do you what?
How do you teach your child to be a good friend? Are you in the parent moment or are you in the friend moment?
Okay. Yeah.
I think you could probably only do it by example, but I tell you, like Lionel, when you were talking about being a friend, like I was saying earlier, I struggle with that. And I tell you why I struggle with that. First of all, it's going to depend on what my son's friends are like. If they coming in cussing and carrying on and doing the most, I'm like, no, bro, no. First of all, we don't act like that around here, So I can be friendly with you, but to be your friend, I can't act like them. I can't be one of your boys like that. We can't sit around and smoke weed like that, and doing all that, those kind of things. So I think that's where I had some issues and it's like, no, you can't just be talking around me like that. No, man, and bringing those thoughts that come from the streets in many cases, and to me, it's like a scamming attitude. Everything is like a get rich quick, scheme and what we gonna do. And I'm like, well, I wasn't like that. I wasn't raised like that. And it's gonna be hard for me to sit around and to help you come up with ideas to scam. I'm just saying, you see the kind of, it's like a real dichotomy in terms of how my relationship with you. Now, if we can be on a certain level and speak about things, but like when you get into that, I can't be the kind of friend like your friends are to you, but I can be your friend,
I think that's important what you said, LJ, is that you can be the friends that they're friends, because that's not what the goal is. You see what I'm saying? And you also said something that answered for Elder Thomas. You're in the friend mode because you're modeling, you're demonstrating what a friend should be and how a friend should be, right?
Right.
And so that is how they're going to take their socialization, how you talk to people, how you respect them. You see what I'm saying? There's going to be times where even in the parenting mode, you're teaching them how to be a friend. Because what happens is when they come at you a certain way, like LJ was saying, you're going to correct them. You'll be like, I'm not like one of your friends on the street. You see what I'm saying? You can't come to me like that. And they have to understand, and people will always understand how to navigate each environment that they're in, right? And so that is another socialization skill that we have to impart on them, and that's part of all that friendship stuff. Because I'm a friend, I'm not going to be the same friend to every single person, because every single person is going to need a different type of friend when it comes to me. You see what I'm saying? It's just like your kids. You're not going to be the same parent to every single child because every single child demands something different. And so is that a bad thing? It's not a bad thing as long as you can understand and know your boundaries and set those boundaries, because even with your friends, you have your limits. You see what I'm saying?
But you know what? I think what we do is we have to, first of all, let's divide, let's define first. I think sometimes we get caught up in the different nuances of being a friend versus being a parent. Once you can define who's who, then you can navigate that. So we got to set the foundation. What is a friend? What is a parent? A parent or a friend is the influence of your child, right? A parent is the authority. And so most times we just don't really distinguish who's the influence and who's the authority. As a parent, you have the option to be both at any given time, because that's the wisdom that you endowed with when God gave you the children. And so you know when to be the authority and you know when to be the influence. You understand? And when to be the authority, that not only just translate for your children, that translate for the friends of your children and any children around you, because you're like God. You're the same yesterday, today, and forever. That's supposed to be your character as the authority. Influence don't change the authority. The authority changes the influence. And so when you understand that, and I think most people don't understand that, because people get fired off their job because they can't distinguish who's the damn authority and who's the influence. Being by that cooler and having reign over the cooler doesn't give you reign over the damn company. You understand? And so with that fact, you understand, with that fact, then you start to delegate better in your own personal life. So know that, you know what, just because I'm the authority, I still can, guess what? Use my option to be the influence. You understand? To give my, to grow my child to the authority figure he needs to be. And not only that, be the authority for the influence around my children. You understand? That's what the authority does. It's not limited. It's always the authority. So it's not so much about you're gonna care, because remember I told you, the authority is not gonna fold to the influence. So it's saying that, oh, my good character is gonna fold to bad, or hell to the no. You understand? That's the authority. So that's what they call that, a non-negotiable. If you're in social work, you'll know that. It's a non-negotiable. You don't, you know that too, Johnny, because you're an attorney. So being the authority is a non-negotiable. It is what it is.
Yeah, and I agree with you, right? I agree with you.
So I'm gonna leave it right there for now.
When our children are younger, like boy, it's hard to. It's not hard, but it's a very thin line of helping them to realize, hey, I'm dad. I'm not your friend.
Can I get some 40?
And there was many times I had to tell him, I ain't your friend now. Just remember that. they might have did something in a moment in which, because of who I am and how I relate to them, forgot that I was daddy. And I had to quickly remind, as you said, the authority, without necessarily being overbearing individual that made them uncomfortable. But I just think for us, especially as men, it's difficult to be one or the other. And oftentimes mom is looked at in that way as the friend and the parent, where we're the one that's going to be the disciplinarian and the director. We don't become the friend per se. Hey, Raj, mute yourself. Raj, mute. There you go. We don't get oftentimes to looked at as the friend, because we're the fathers if we're an engaged father. But I believe that even though it's a hard line to balance, that it can be done, but it's when they're younger, I think it's essential to establish who you are as a father. And then as they get older, the friend in you becomes more, you have to let that out more, because now they're becoming adults, having their own choices, making their own decisions on who they want to be around. Because they were once begging to be around you everywhere you go. And then moment puberty hits, they gonna leave you at the football game and go hang out with their friends And then all of a sudden you feeling, because that happened to me, my son one time. I was like, oh, let's go to the game, Dad. So I'm thinking he want to go to the game with me. We get to the game, he like, so Dad, I'm gonna see you later, okay? I'm gonna meet you back here. I'm like, what? We were supposed to be doing a father-son thing. And so that's what we, like I said, we got to remember that balance. And as we get older, we become more the friend than we were when we were younger. So that's the only reason I say with you, like Born, being that authority, yeah, you never lose that, but for us as men, oftentimes a hard balance that we still work on every day.
Well, Gaspar, it's a sliding scale, like you were saying, and like we were saying earlier. In the beginning, when the child's young, that friendship line is going to be a little bit further away, and the parenting is going to be a lot bigger. And as they get older, you're shifting that parenting line, and it's getting less and less, and friendship is coming more into play. Because again, you still want the quality of relationship with them where they can feel free to communicate with you. They can be open, they can share. They're able to tell you things that are bothering them so you can handle those situations. So that line does shift as they get older. And you become less of an authority figure, more of a guidance towards them, because they're going to come back and use you as a compass as they get older. And so those are the things that you're looking at. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Lightborn. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was sitting here thinking, like, I think I would have loved to have been a better friend to my children. But I found out one of the most offensive words, particularly as a Black father to Black children, one of the most offensive words, N-words I ever used to my children. And I actually had to give my children the N-word, And you know what that word is? No. And having that N-word, that no, is the most offensive N-word to Black children that will separate the authority from the influence and will separate your friendship from being a father. So because of that N-word was so present in me being a father to my children. And keep in mind, I have my four and my three, three from my wife and four from me biologically. Then all of them was on this, back to the authority part, all of them was on the same page when it came to that narrative. They were like, they know exactly what they're gonna get a no from, and they knew exactly how to get a yes. They knew, I'm talking about to the T, without rehearsing. They knew like what questions to ask to get a no and what questions to ask to get a yes. Even so, they thought they could get my daughter, and because they figured she was the favorite, and to a certain extent she was. That was another show. And they just thought she couldn't get the business. When I laid that N-word on her, that no, that gave them all a reality check. Like, damn, he is because again, that father. But again, they don't understand. I gave them a lot of small no's to give them one big yes. And so all those small, and I had to teach them that too. I said, you know what? Every no I gave y'all throughout different seasons, I say led to a big yes for another season. And so I said, all those no's I gave you for them small things y'all been trying to go to the store and talk about you want it, is the big yes when you went on those vacations and lived in those very nice, plush places. You understand? And so I had to give them the science behind the no too, because I just couldn't say no and left it empty. I had to give them, like, no, it's a strategy. And you have to know how to use that strategy. You understand? And so you can have the prosperity that you really need in life. You got to know when to say no. You got to know when you say yes. And that's the difference between really being a parent and a friend.
I think that I'm glad you said that, because I think for me, when my kids come to me, and the time they approach me is when they want something. But that's what all kids do. Okay, they come to me and they want something, and talk about. I will say no. Now I'm quick to say no. But the reason why I say no, I say, listen, you're coming to me kind of as a friend. You want me to be friendly with you, but no, I'm treating you like an adult. Okay, you wanted to be grown because when we were talking about something, I gave you my opinion. You thought my opinion was crazy. Okay. And then, so So you go, I say, fine. Listen, I'm just giving you my opinion. You're grown. Do what you want to do. You know, they know I'm quick to say that. You grown. Do what you want to do. Okay. But when you come back to me, and now you're expecting me, now you want to be my child. Okay. Now you want to be that child again that I give everything to. And I'm gonna say,
Mm.
no, you grown. This you gotta deal with this. At least try your best to get out of it and then come back to me and let's see what we can do about it. But you just can't come to me and just say, well, it failed, so now you got to make up the difference. Oh no, I'm the wrong one for that. You know, so I think that a lot of times they come back to us as in a friendship kind of mode, but they actually just want to be our child again so they can get what they want.
Well, you know what? I think that generationally, and again, when we're talking about this, we really have to look at generation type thing. You know, I can really speak on my generation, the generation I'm from. We were brought up in a time where no was the first word we heard about everything. It wasn't like yeah, maybe, I think about it. Hey, can I get some Snickers? No. Can I go outside? No. Can I stay outside longer? No. It was never, and it wasn't a negotiation. It wasn't a compromise. It was a hard no. And it was for a reason. Parents didn't just say no to say no. They had legitimate reasons. Well, you can't stay outside too late because Wayne Williams might be outside. You know, so those. Yeah, I'm pulling my. See, if you don't know that reference, this is what I'm saying. You ain't from the generation. Who the hell is Wayne Williams? Don't worry about it then. You'll look it up on Google. You know, they might have find out the man was wrongfully accused because it wasn't Wayne Williams. Let me correct myself. It wasn't Wayne Williams was not he was a convicted, but he was a good feeling that he wasn't the person. But our parents had their reasons for doing what they were doing. Many of us have post-traumatic stress disorder from the no. So we are always trying to now negotiate the no because we don't want to feel like we're doing that same thing to our children. So when we don't say the no, that means that puts us in the friend category because friends never say no because friends feel guilty to not say. So somebody say, hey, come go with me riding this stolen car. They say, oh, yeah. Not no. They say, yeah. You know, and so we have to do better. And again, I'm speaking to us as a group of parents in this generation. We have to really begin to manage this because I realize that we do kind of know how to say no because now since our kids are having their kids, right? A lot of them just is saying, no, you can't bring that kid over my house. I'm not your free babysitter. You know, you start seeing that kind of behavior. So, you know, it's a very, but the grandkids are now getting even no. They're not getting a no to nothing. So their mom not telling them no, grandma. I even see in some instances their grandparents who looking like, yo, you gotta tell that kid no. Because the parents just say whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. And that is a friend mentality. Because friends don't want conflict. Friends, you know, do not want to, they do not want to have to confront a serious situation. They would rather say, yeah, let it go down, and then later be upset and aftermath, instead of saying, no, I'm not going to do that. That's not going to happen. And here are the reasons why. You know, but then again, we also live in a society where everybody masks what they can say. We got social media. Someone sends you a text message and it could mean something 6 different ways. So what you can say, hey, I just had a message that was sent to me, and I don't know if the message was funny acting or what it was. I sent a message saying, hey, I gave all I had, right? And then they was like, oh, thank you for your sacrifice. And for me, I don't know if they're being sincere about I was being honest that at that time I gave what I had, but they might have been saying like, well, you know, you that I don't know about that.
They'll be facetious with their response.
Right. I don't know. I don't know if they was being facetious because you don't get through the text that, you know, But they did the praying hands, so the praying hands might have been like, "Thank you, blessed." I'm not sure, but you understand that's the society we kind of live in today, and you never know if you're not going to ask your children, like your children tell you they okay, I'm fine, nothing's wrong, and then tomorrow they commit suicide.
Well, that's the thing about what you just said, Ron. If I had to sum up what you said, being the authority confronts, but being the influence condones. And so that's the difference between the authority and being the influence. One confronts, the other one condones. And it's not popular to confront. And that's the thing about being authority. To whom much is given, much is required. If you ever had a definition of the authority, that's a very good biblical definition. To whom much is given, much is required. That means that God done give you that child, and you got to do everything necessary. And guess what? Everything necessary is not necessarily nice. You understand? So you have to balance being necessary and being nice. And it's very unpopular, but greatly appreciated later on in life, because those are the things that safeguard the total child. All that they are as a child, not only as a child, but as their character. And not only it gives them the courage to actually know how to use that no as well and navigate the nuances of doing it. But again, it was some child that some parent was raising that said no and spared my life from a bunch of guys who was obviously on their way to going to prison for tripling, doubling, quadruple murder. And so I appreciate the fact that whoever those parents was that raised that particular child that was in that particular car that spared my particular life, that authority really worked so much. So it not only saved the child life, but it saved mine. So we got to really decide which one we're going to value, being the father or the friend. Both can be equally as valuable, but they're valuable, equally as valuable at different times. That's what I think.
And you know what, like I and everyone here, I think it's important that we also point out that not every no needs a reason. Sometimes you say a no because you just have that gut, right? And how you gonna explain a gut feeling to somebody? I just got it in my, you know what I'm saying? So not every no needs a reason, but when you can, give a reason for your no.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So there, and that's where the teachable moments come in, is when you're able to give that reason for the no. But as much as you can, try to give a reason, but then sometimes the no is just, it's okay to say no and not be 100% sure. You said, you get what I'm saying? Give yourself permission to be a little bit human.
For sure.
Hey, Gene.
I say so.
Gene, you remind me of a friend of mine who has three sons.
Uh-huh.
And he would keep a piece of chicken in the refrigerator. The boys would want to eat it. He wasn't going to eat it. He just did that to keep the authority to know that this is his house, this his piece of chicken, and no, you can't have it. The chicken go bad in the refrigerator. Maybe Dad, it's spoiling. I don't care what it's doing. It's my piece of chicken. And I think that's why his three sons are very good, decent young men today, because that type of authority that he gave to them. I know he gave him love, because I seen the love he gave. I know the love him and his wife gave. I know they gave the boys, but he also, and remind you, my friend, he's a very soft guy. When I say soft spoken, not this rah kind of guy, but he had authority when it came to what was right and wrong for his sons. That's why today he can have three very successful sons living in the world, continuing his legacy. So that authority is important. It's so important to exhort it, because what we forget and don't see a lot in this society is kids, young people is respecting authority. And when they can't respect authority, that's a quick way to find themselves in bad places. If the authority says, hey, stop right there. No, I ain't stopping, forget that. Pop, 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 pop. Listen, if they remember my dad told me I need to stop, I stopped because I listened to authority. Because listen, you can't do it. Johnny will tell you, you can't do anything in the casket. But you sure can hire Johnny to go down there and get you from the city of Fort Lauderdale, the city of Miramar, the city of, you can get about $2 or $3 million. You can do that if they do you wrong. Sure. But you can't do nothing but have slow singing and card bringing if they get you. So authority is important.
True. listen, what are the things that and everybody said it, and the scripture says, he who loves his child, he who disciplines his child loves his child. So the Bible says that, because if you don't discipline your child, and always want to be their friend, that means you have not established any boundaries, no directions, no limitations on what they can and cannot do from that perspective. And if you let them just run and do what they want to do, they are going to end up in situations that you can't help them and they can't help themselves, because you never showed them what is the right way to go. So brothers, go on to the next thing. I'll be right back.
Well, discipline, and we can't take away from the fact that people say discipline, and I think discipline is an ignorance. No, discipline is an intelligence. You got to understand that if you don't know nothing else, and you can't discipline without intelligence. God will never tell you to do something ignorant. And so we got to make sure that when we interpret that scripture, we interpret it right and understand where it's coming, where the information is coming from. And so with that, yes, discipline should be very intentional, but it should be very teachable. And every discipline should be a teachable moment. You're raising children, and instinctively, children have a right to be wrong. That's why they're children. You just want to make sure that they grow into trees and not weeds. That's the only difference between a tree and a weed. A tree is grown intentionally. It will produce fruit. A weed is grown unintentionally, which means it's amazing how you didn't plant that weed, but it still grow with the trees. And you got to pull it up. So the authority that the seed was supposed to be that tree, but all of a sudden the weeds grew with the tree. And that's amazing how things and children can still grow even without the authority in their life. The only difference between the two that's growing with the influence, growing up under the influence of something versus the authority of something is what they call full growth and the ability to produce something. And so one just grow up in the influence is not going to produce nothing. It's going to start to just pretty much be a parasite to everything else that's producing fruit around. Pretty much like, and I'm not a gardener, but I understand the concept of how weeds and trees grow, and coincidentally how they grow together. The only difference is after a while that tree can be about the equivalent to a weed a certain time, and then it'll grow into a full-blown tree. And guess what? And that weed will still be a weed. It will never become a tree. But the tree will always become a tree. So whatever you're destined, and that's what that discipline do. What it does is the authority. Discipline is the authority for destiny. And so it's not a bad thing. But again, it has to be an intentional thing that is going to be a teachable thing to the very person, places, things, and ideas you're applying it to. Because discipline is not just limited to children, but it's global, universal.
And that's a very powerful analogy you just used, because one thing you don't want to do is when you are cultivating and growing that tree, weeds will pop up. Now, some of us tend to forget to pull those weeds up, and they allow them to overtake that garden in that place. And once it starts to overtake, the influence changes on how that tree is going to continue to grow and if it's going to flourish, because weeds take away the nourishment from the good, right? And so what you want to do is you just want to make sure that you're always overpowering that, and you're always making sure that you're cultivating that area for your child. And you always have to, like when we're saying, everything is a teachable moment, right? And it goes back to my statement. Sometimes it's a no, but as much as you can often explain your no, do so, because that's where the teachable moments come in. Because you have to understand that everyone's going to learn from somebody else's experience, and sometimes they have to learn from their own experience. But as much as you can help them navigate, because a story that you may say today, and I think that's one of the things that we always miss out, is that storytelling as parents. Stories that you share about your life today will resonate with your child later on. And they can use your examples and understand who you were as a person in order to help them guide themselves as a person. So we always got to make sure that that's part of all that nurturing that we do when we're letting that tree grow, is also share our life, share what we've been through, share what we've done, so that they can understand that we may not be you, but we were around the same things you were around. It's just a different year, and that's it.
And the good thing about sharing those stories, because when you were a kid, your parents always used to walk long distances. They ain't had no shoes. They don't know what a pencil was. They get and you're like, what? You hear these stories, and then as you get older, and you'll tell your kids something, and they're like, really, Dad? You ain't had no Nintendo? Something like that. So it's a different time, but it's always good to tell the story because, again, they don't see us that we were once them. They don't feel like we know anything about their struggle and children. And we got to always remind them that we were once their age as well, so that they can relate to us to some degree in helping that friendship with being a parent work. I think Brother Rajel wanted to say something a couple of times. I know he did. You want to share, my brother?
I forgot what I was gonna say a long time ago, right? But what I would say, I joined because of the title. And I've been friends and a father to my son. And I had problems in the beginning because sometimes I do too much, But I'm seeing right now God allowing us to find this balance between friendship and father, because I get mad and go off on him because he got, like, how you say, you play with a puppy and lick in your mouth. So we had to go through that. We went through that phase right there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm cool with you, man, but I'm still your daddy. You know what I'm saying? I still punch you right in your chest. You know what I'm saying? I'm still your dad, man. Don't try me like that, whatever. But I see how it's coming. It's like almost like it's almost a balance now, where he respect my judgment or my opinion about stuff as a friend and a father. You know what I'm saying? He get both of them. You know what I mean? He don't like a lot of it, right? But it's always based in love. You know that for sure for me.
There you go.
So that helped me out a lot. Even though he hate, sometimes I say don't go nowhere or something like that. He hate it. He tell me how it don't make sense and all that. But he knows that I love him.
I hear that.
And I'm making that because of that.
Hey, Raj, when you tell him don't go someplace, do you always tell him why he shouldn't go?
Do I tell him why? Yeah, I tell him why. I tell him why I want him to go, because maybe I don't want to go over there at 1 o'clock in the morning, or maybe one time I didn't like how the parents treated him at one point.
Gotcha.
So I cut all that out.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? And that's, to answer your question, yeah, for the most part.
Gotcha. No, the reason why, because Gene had said sometimes a no is just a no. You might not.
Yeah, he right.
He
right.
Your gut, you ain't know why you say no, but something just says to say no, right? For whatever reason.
Yeah, he right.
And the kid gonna be like, because my kids always was that, why? And I just go Z. In that moment, I just go Z. And they're like, Z? Yeah, that's a letter after Y. They're like, okay, Dad, you couldn't really. I'm like, listen, I'm telling you no. You asking me why, and I say Z. You could be mad all you want, but that's my response.
I believe that. I believe that to be true also, because I got raised by people from Georgia. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm like, a lot of my family from Georgia. So I got raised by straight up and down folks. You know what I'm saying? And a child is a child. You stay in a child play. I don't got to explain myself to you. You know what I'm saying? I came up on that. You know what I'm saying? That works also. And what also works, like all these right now appear to be like good guys on here. Y'all good guys, and you're a good person. You love the Lord. Whatever you give your kids, they're gonna come back for it, man.
I hear.
They're gonna always have it.
Roger, we appear to be good guys. We appear to be that.
Yeah, right now, you know what I'm saying? Y'all be good guys. Because I look at myself, I'm a mirror. All you guys are mirror.
I hear that, bro. I hear that.
You know, ain't nothing ever what it appears to be. I lean more to the Lord. I hope everybody else do.
I hear that. All right,
Yes.
man.
And
Thank
like you
you for sharing,
said,
bro.
not only Georgia, from Georgia, but Caribbean.
Yes.
In the
In the Caribbean,
Caribbean,
for
boy,
sure.
Yeah.
kids stay in their place.
For sure.
Yeah. They say you ask
That's so
why.
true.
Now, my parents was like, you ask them why. They said because I said so. I don't even know
Mhm.
the reason.
Yeah, that's
But I
it.
said so. That
Hey,
was
hey, hey. I remember it's a guy on here that go to a church I used to go to. I forgot. I can't remember his name. He was just talking with the hat on. He used to see me with my son in church all the time. And you know when the Lord, when your kid cry, they call it what you call the lady,
Usher.
the
Ushers,
usher
the
lady,
ushers.
Yeah.
the ushers lady to come get your kid because they making all that noise. So when my kid make all that noise back then, the usher say, "Don't even worry about it. He got him." I take my son right in the bathroom and beat his behind. Right then, right there in the church. I ain't play with him. You know what I'm saying? and I got a good kid, man. You know what I mean? I got a good kid, bro.
We gotta learn. And then when I tell you what the scripture said, and it was one of those things I remember saying to my son when he was like 5, because he was wilding one time, and he's like, "Dad, why you beat me, but you don't beat Syed?" I said, "Well, the Bible says a man who loves it does not discipline his child, does not
That's
love his
good.
child."
That's
Like,
good. I
Dad,
like
you
that.
love
I like that. I like that.
you love me a lot, then. I said, "I love
I
both
like
y'all
that.
a
I
lot.
like that.
I love both
I
y'all a
like how
lot."
he said what the
But
Bible said. I like that.
your discipline is different than her discipline. Because all I would have to say to her is maybe I just growl with my voice or the way I said something, and her behavior was completely shift. Well, with him, man, the talking would not. Let me tell y'all what. I'm gonna get to this story one time because this boy here, this man, he knew he was gonna get a beating. This man had on full pants, right? Now, let me tell y'all. Listen, when he got to the first time I spanked him, it had like like when you hit a bag and a bag make a noise. I said, hold on. That's funny. I thought this man had on full pants. I said, boy, you better take all that clothes off. I had to laugh. I think I let him go that night, but I got him the next
That
night.
was funny.
I was laughing
That
so
was
hard
funny.
that night. But again, I say all this to say that today, when we are talking and he's 21, he remembers those moments where he was like, "Dad, I used to think you was a little extra, but I understand where I was and what I was doing then, so I get it." And we have a completely different relationship now. So we look back on those moments like his four pants moments and laugh. Time when I tell him don't put the computer on, and he'll shut it off literally when I come in the house, and I will feel the TV and it's hot. You have the computer on, huh? He's like, "Hey, why would you do that? No regular parent does that." I like, because I know my child. So it was one of those things that we can look back on now. Yeah, we look back on now and laugh as older people, as friends now. But he realized the father in me was necessary at that moment. And I think as long as we understand that this evening, gentlemen, I think we all getting it. Those out there looking, the goal is about being a parent, but understanding how to balance it as they get older. And as many of these men say, the sliding scale of going from parent to friend and how that works. And I'm done. Back to you, Rod. I'm messing with y'all. We still.
No, I like that, because I think the quicker we understand that discipline is more persistence than punishment, the better off we'll be.
There you go.
And the fact that what you described, your discipline is more persistent than punishment. You told him not to do something, and then you went behind him to make sure he didn't do it by checking the TV and stuff like that. And and really it's the persistence that actually instills the discipline. And matter of fact, it's the persistence that's the science of discipline. Most of us want to do the quick discipline, which is the punishment, is because it's instinctive and has no intelligence behind it. The persistence is where the intelligence of discipline lives.
Absolutely.
And that's the whole premise of what we're trying to talk about right here tonight.
Right. Light boy, you hit it right on the head. Punishment is easy. Punishment is not like rehabilitation. You can punish them and not even do anything about it. But when you have to really go behind them to explain why, you got to go have classes. You know, with the prison was a change other than just locking people in the prison cell, right? And we know this. If you had to get them up every morning, take them to a class, take them out to jobs and help them get it, you know, then again, you begin to build them up as well. And that's what we have to look at in with our kids. We can't just punish, because that's not being a parent, just to punish. It's being able to, again, discipline is what they need. And that discipline is teaching and guiding. And a lot of the guiding is letting them know that they're not smarter than you, that you already did it. You know, listen, there's kids who really think that they like, you dumb. And there's nothing that make you more angry. I see so many parents I deal with, and they are so angry, mad that this child thinks that they dumb. Like, oh, I know that. Listen, and I have to say to the kid, I say, listen, you think your mom and dad don't already know this? You think everything was created yesterday when you was born in 1993? No, sir. Your mom was born in 73, your daddy born in 71. They got years on you.
For sure.
But then it takes us to be able to have that conversation with our kid. And that's what being a good parent, engaging parent is. To have the conversation, sitting down and saying, what was you thinking about when you did that? And not just taking I don't know for an answer. And that's what happens. We take the I don't know, I'm unsure, I don't want to talk about it, and we let it go because it's going to take us time. We're going to have to do work and all this to really get the answers, but that's parenting.
Yes.
P-I-M-E.
That's right.
Time. And with that being said, we are at time. I see people pushing. Oh no, we're not at time.
No, we got 10 more minutes.
Oh my bad. I thought I'm looking at the wrong clock. We're not at time. But I'm just saying that for us as as fathers, and I think that a big part of this is I was watching Power Book, Tommy version. And the son and the, I don't know how many people will see that, but again, here free advertisement. I need to call Stars, tell me to send that revenue check. But the father and the son in that show, the father tries to explain to his son why he wasn't in his life, why he was gone, and the son just sees it as you just wasn't there. You wasn't there. He didn't understand the difficulties that his father had to be a part and how much his father did want to be a part. Now, the part that was even bigger than that is being able to understand what his father went through as a child. His father was left. His mother left him.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, his mother left. So what skill he really has about fighting for a child when he was left as a child. And it takes us the time to begin to develop that and know that and be able to have real conversations with ourselves, our children, with our grandparents, in the family overall, to really come to grips with it. Now, it might mean you might have to go to therapy, or you might not go to therapy. You might sit down at the family reunion and have Big Mama facilitate, a grandpa facilitate that conversation. Or you might not be able to do that, so you go to your local minister and talk about it, or you may go to a therapist. There's many places that you can go, or you might just have enough sense to sit down and say, let's talk about something.
Yeah.
When situations occur, I think one of the biggest things that parents are able to really, be parents and be friends is when their children get in relationships.
Yeah.
Because that authority might not work for who they can be with, who they can't be with. Sometimes you got to come in and have that finesse of a friend to say, well, check out what happened with me and your dad, or me and your mom.
Yeah.
You're very upset that we're not together, but look at why we're not together. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because she was only fine to me. She was only fine to me. That's all. That's it. And that's what didn't work out, because she was only fine to me.
I hear that.
And that's what, and you came, and then now it's nothing else. It's nothing else There was nothing else. And even if we tried to work on it, it wasn't going to work because we were really different people. And
it's
we
so
can't
crazy
just go
you
on.
just said that, because I could only imagine saying that to a daughter, right? From a father's perspective, and helping her to understand that there may a man out there may just look at you and say, "Hey, she fine. I'm gonna try to get with her just because she fine." And they none other than the way you look, and you can't emotionally allow that to determine who your value is. Because sometimes, unfortunately, for our young ladies, a guy, and that's why I tell them when I remember talking to my daughter when she was in high school, I like, what you know about sex? You could barely watch somebody else hold another boy's hand and you're gonna go crazy because the boy holds some other girl's hand. You talking about giving up your body? You understand what that comes from? And I share that to say that when you're having that conversation, like Ron just shared, that the only reason I was with your mom was because she was fine. That's why that didn't work for me. I need you to understand who this young man is and what he is. What is his goal for you? What really is your relationship? And if you have an idea about that, then good. If you don't, I want you to understand from daddy's talking, mama was just fine to me. I wasn't trying to be your mama's friend. I was just trying to be her friend, if you know what I mean. And when you're talking to your kids, they get it because now they understand because they're going through it. So like Ron said, I think when you're talking to a young lady, though, that's like crazy when you just said that, oh, your mama was just fine to me. Woo. Now to your son, he might be like, all right, Dad, I know what you're talking about. That's your son's reaction. Where your daughter might have a different emotional reaction to that. And I say that to whoever's looking, understand you got to know how to be able, who your children are, how you talk to them, so that you can honestly be their friend for when they're going through their moments. Because that's where we are now in our lives as adult, when you have adult children, is really helping them get through their moments as their friend while still being a parent.
Well, that's a beautiful thing what you just said. You're very poetic tonight. But no, it's important. Now we got to understand we can't undermine the value of friendship. Yeah. Let's never do that, because it's one of the four pillars of our society and just global society in itself. You got to understand the foundation of friendship is that's a social support, and it's very important to have a social.
Soul. It's essential to the soul.
Right, so they write that, but it's a social. It is a social support. That's your social. That's your social foundation. You need that, and you need it so much so that you can empower friendship so great that where the child you're trying to raise, it can actually rub up on the child they're running with. And the child they're running with can hold their values, hold your values more greater
your child
as yours. You understand? Right. And it's that child you think is the child, the negative influence. I'm like, you'll be surprised how many you think the other child is a negative influence when the negative influence is really your child. And you'll be surprised. I'm talking about really, I think a good example of this is The Godfather, the movie. The Godfather, you got to remember, the one who turned out to be something, somebody great, which one, the one who turned out to be an attorney, was actually, that wasn't his son. That was the friend of his son. See the difference? So I'm saying that to say this, that if we empower friendship like we're supposed to, and really distribute this thing like you're supposed to, then that friendship can advocate for you on the back end or when you turn your back. I think I can leave it right there, Johnny. You think I leave it right there?
I like that. Leave it right there.
I leave it right
there. Or when you turn your back, like your character, right? Who you are when I'm not around. I got you on that. Good point there. Good point there, my brother. So it's now 8:27. We about to wrap up. It's going to be 8:30. We normally close the show down. Tonight has been incredible. This is where Dr. Osborne Williams normally jumps in and does this part, but I'm helping him out while he refocus somewhere else. But the show has been awesome, talking about how we can be both a friend and a parent to our child, how that works, how that looks, and how we can do it the best way as fathers, especially. And to you young fathers out there that may be watching this, it may seem like it's difficult now because you're young, your kids are young. They don't understand. But one of the things that we shared here tonight was understanding the scale of sliding from parent to friend, and realizing in this time, in this age, when they're this young, you have to be their parent. It doesn't mean you don't listen to them. It doesn't mean you don't love on them. And loving on them isn't just telling them you love them. It's showing up. It's being present. What we said, TIME, time, being present with them, being available for them. And it may not always be ideal for you because you're not in that, as Ron often said, you didn't choose this, but you are here. So now you have to be the father. But just realize that being that parent requires you to be a parent. And as they get older, you will then become more of a friend, but you have to show them that you love them, that you're willing to listen, and you're willing to be present for them. And I think when you show that to your children now, they're more apt to reciprocate that when they get older. And I think that's just something we got to consistently be doing. And that's the key part, being consistent at it. Whether it be consistent and persistent in the discipline and in love, we just got to be consistent at it. And if we're consistent, your child will never say like Drake, I was waiting outside for my daddy to show up, and he never did. And as a result of that, because for me, there's many children out here that wait for their fathers to show up, and they just don't. They're always hoping and wishing for that father to be present. So if we could just be consistent in our actions, man, when our children get older, they're going to be our best friends. But that's been my experience. And I think for many of the brothers on here, they could say the same. LJ still working on his, because he could talk about sports. But LJ, I'm just messing with you. I know you're going to get
what? You know what? And that's a really good place. And so as we close, I'm going to, again, I like to make challenges to the dads. You said that like Drake waiting on his father and what have you. As fathers, even if you know that you can't get to your child, know that your child will always want to be with you. I don't care what anybody tell you. I don't care what they say.
Mhm.
I don't care what they say.
Point.
Because they will always want to be with, if you're a crackhead, if you're homosexual, if you deadbeat, if you're womanized, no matter what it is, you are what they don't know and they want to know. And you need to give them the opportunity to get to know you, not at your funeral. They shouldn't learn about you through the obituary. Because it hurts them, it kills them.
Yeah,
something deep inside of them to realize that I didn't know anything about this person. And then guess what? They own you, and your problem is you don't get to argue your own case.
You
don't get to say, because there's nobody. Trust me, you might have one good friend to say, your dad loved you, he just never got the opportunity. Yeah, they'll be like, yeah, whatever. They might take it, but listen, after everybody done said, whatever, and the kid reached out to you, and you whatever reason you didn't reach out or didn't take, so be ready. I say this: every father who with their kids and not with their kids, be ready. Always be ready. Because if you stay ready, you don't gotta get ready. True. When the kids say dad, you say yes, and then you say no. And with that being said,
you say yes and then you say no.
You say yes, then you say no. With that being said, I want to thank all the fathers who participated tonight. I mean, I seen some people come on here we ain't seen in a while, and they must have had to go. I seen your boy come on here. So
Castro, I saw him.
I seen him come on
Castro,
yeah. Good to see Castro come on tonight. I know he probably out there, everybody out there hustling, but we're happy that we hopefully could share something with you tonight. If you like it, please like, share, subscribe to the page. We will be having a brand new, not brand new, because I was speaking to the advisor who was telling me how to manage pages, that we will be rebranding.
There you go.
Rebranding for the new year. So in the new year, we will have a whole new branding. We will have all social media outlets, and we hope to get our subscribers up, that we can get into the algorithm so we can begin to affect more people, and more people can be affected by this synergy that we have here at the Fatherhood Think Tank. And not just for fathers, but for mothers, for children, for grandparents, for families all around. And so I just say that sometimes we put this Fatherhood Think Tank together, not just for us as the fathers, because we have our thing tomorrow night, Wednesday at 6:30 on the Zoom. That's for us. But this is for everybody just to be able to hear and understand where some fathers are coming from on different topics, on different avenues, and know that fathers are not monolithic. Fathers are not one thinking, and every father don't operate the same. But the one thing we do have in common is that we are fathers, and that's the most important thing. We want to see the best for our next generation, our legacies. With that being said, thank you for joining us tonight. And Father, repeat after me. I am.
I am.
I say I am.
I am.
I am a man of honor.
I am a man of honor.
I say I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am a man of courage.
I
am a man of courage.
I say I am.
I am.
I am.
I
am.
I am. I
good
say I
night.
am a man of respect.
Take it easy.
I am
I
a man of respect.
Brothers, I say that I
All
am.
right, but they're pulling.
I
am.
I say that you are.
You are.
I say that we are
We are
champions.
Championship.
championship fathers.
So Lawrence and Elder Thomas, they battling back and forth for this title.
And one more thing, God told me that we need to keep this, and we need, what's our tagline? Our tagline is, "There's no hood like fatherhood."
Like fatherhood.
And good night.
That's right.
There you go.
All right.
All right, y'all. Have a good